So then we have talked about the Indriya Nigraha. Then we come to Mano Nigraha. So here also, it's a very, this Upamana especially, it is a very peculiar Upamana in the sense that some Upamanas, the beauty is twofold. First of all, as I said, the Sadrishya, right? The fact that I did not, like, the simile is really nice. That is one thing. The second thing is also that you did not realize that something could even be thought of in this way. Right? The novelty of an Upamana, that is what it is. The novelty will also, lend some beauty to the experience of a simile. So here Bhagavad is saying, Sviyodgama toyavaha sagaram upayati nicha margena sa sviyodgama eva sthira sati kim nayati vardhitvam. So Bhagavad is saying there is a toyavaha. Toyavaha is a river. Okay. Sviyodgama toyavaha. So having a river has some place of origin, right? So the river having some place of origin rises out of that place of origin and Sagaram Upayati. Obviously, it goes to the ocean. It travels towards the ocean. The river originates and migrates towards the ocean. How? Nicha Margena. There is no river that has ever flowed uphill to get to the ocean. Water has to flow downhill. So if it leaves its swasthana, means its own place, right? Where it was born is its place. So the river leaves its place and flowing downwards reaches the ocean. Right? It will only flow towards sea level. It will never go up. Right? So this is the state of the river. Because it has left its state of origin, its original state, it has to flow downwards to get to the ocean. Whereas Sa Sviyodgame eva sthira sati. If that river, let us say that flowing was the river's choice, let us say. Obviously the river is compelled, but let us say it is the river's choice to flow out of its place of origin. Then let us say the river does not choose to flow out. Okay. The river says, I will not leave. I was born here, I am staying here, I don't want to go anywhere. If the river says that, Sviyodgame eva sthira sati satvayaha, vardhitvam kim nayati, will it not become an ocean on its own? What is an ocean? Water that does not flow. Correct? Ocean, sea, whatever you want to. A large mass of water that does not flow is called an ocean. So, if the river wakes up one morning and says, I have decided that I no longer want to flow anywhere. I want to stay where I am. It will become an ocean on its own. Why does it have to flow down? See, nicha margena, niche. Right? Why does it have to go downwards to become an ocean? It can stay where it is as it is and become an ocean. In the same way, evam manaha svahetum vicharayat. In the same way, the mind also seeking its karana. Where did this manas come from? Right? Yan manasanamate, yena harmano matam, tada brahmatvam vidhi, nedam edam upasate, tan manosrita. All these Vedavakyas are there, right? So the manas, the root of this is the Atma. So seeking its true nature, right? The manas seeking its true nature, antaha susthiram bhavati chet. Evam manasvahetum vicharayan susthiram bhaved antaha. So therefore, in the same way, just as the river decides not to go anywhere and remain where it is, in the same way, na bahirvodeti. If the mind also does not stray outside of itself, it stays within itself, then tadakin atmatvam swayam yati. It will not become atma on its own. You see how the Upamana has been brought? If the river leaves its origin, what does it actually seek? It seeks the ocean. Right? That is why the river leaves its origin. Right? So the river, the ocean is what it considers to be its swasthana, where it should be. It is because it thinks that the ocean is where it should be, so it leaves its place, seeking the ocean. But instead, if it decides not to seek anything and remains where it is, will it not become an ocean on its own? Is the upamana. What is the upameya? The mind also, what does it seek? It seeks sukha. Right? So seeking that sukha, which is the atma. Right? There is sukha is atma. There is no sukha that is not atma. Right? This we have discussed earlier also. So when it seeks sukha, what does it do? It flows downwards. Means it flows down into the world. Right? Because flowing into the world is It is a degrade, right? You are degrading yourself. You are flowing down into the Vishayas, right? So the mind, its nature is to flow down looking for Sukha. Flow out and down. Here Bhagavad is saying, don't flow out and down. Stay where you are. You will become what it is that you want. You will, that Atmatvam will be there. You will realize the Atma. Becoming Atma means the Manas will not become Atma. It will realize what Atma is. That is what Bhagavad means. That is such a nice simile, no? Like we don't even consider, that you can even do an upamana with a river like this. These kinds of upamanas you will find in Veda. The upamanas that Veda gives us sometimes, you cannot even, in my opinion, sometimes I tell, the upamanas of Veda is it is a proof that Veda is Apaurushaya because no human can even think of those. Everything Swarga is not knowable through the human mind. All that aside, just the upamanas that Veda gives us, you cannot even conceptualize of that. For example, in Upanishad, Yatha Prabhatayanti Yatha Masa Aharjaram Evam Mam Brahmacharinaha Dhatarayantu Sarvatasvaha comes, right? So what is the Upanishad saying? I want brahmacharis to come to me. The Guru is praying that I need to teach. I have studied, Sadhyaya has been done, now Pravachana has to be done. I want the students to come to me and learn. I want a steady flow of students, right? You don't want students Ativrishti, Anavrishti, you don't want that, right? You want people to gradually come to you. And you don't want 1,000 people to come at once. You want people to come to you gradually and you want them to keep coming and you want them to keep collecting in your Gurukula. Two upamanas Veda has given. Yatha apah pravata ayanti. As water flows downhill, okay, if you look at water droplets like one drop, they will drop upon drop will pile up and slowly flow downhill. How naturally water flows like that, so too brahmacharis should flow towards me. The next one, Yatha Masa Aharjaram. As the months flow into years, I want brahmacharis to flow. Who will conceptualize that? Months. They flow together into years and that time continues to flow. In that way, I want brahmachari, all to flow to my ashrama. What human can think of this upamana? In the same way in Aruna, Sorussati, Nanivartate, Evam Nana Samuthana, Kala Samvatsargashrita. This is one mantra in Aruna. So we are talking about time. In Aruna, we are talking about time. And in Aruna, given that we are talking about the Aruna Ketuk, about Surya, time is Samvatsara. The year is the standard measure of time there. So, they are saying that there is a river. There is a river that will never dry up. Just as that river will split into several tributaries. Not tributaries. What is the river? Distributaries. Distributaries. Just as the river splits into distributaries, in the same way, there is a Kala Pravaha. Kala itself is Samvatsara. This Samvatsara is a flow that splits into seconds, hours, muhurtas, days, pakshas, masas, rutus, ayanas. This one flow of the Samvatsara splits into all of these different divisions of time, just as a mighty river splits into so many different distributaries. There is no human mind that can conceptualize of this. Right? So, sometimes the reason why I am telling this is because the beauty of Upamana sometimes will be that you cannot even think of those two things. You would not have even put those two things. Who will connect brahmacharis coming to the Guru to months becoming years? These two things the human mind cannot connect. But when that connect is made, you will experience some nice happiness. So like that, Bhagavad also gives some really nice things like this. And a river flowing out of its origin into the ocean and the mind seeking Sukha. In this particular way, in that seeking is going down, staying is attaining your goal. This sadrishya in both places. The number of people that can even think of this will probably be on one hand. Right? So that is one upamana that Bhagavad Pada has given.
So is it the flowing down considered as a karma or whatever the...
No, it is just that, see, Atma is on a particular level. Vishaya is a lower level. It is just that you are stooping down to that level. That's all it is. It is not per se karma, it is just that Rather than Atma Sukha, you are looking at Vishaya Sukha. That is a step down. That is why Nicha Margena, you are flowing downwards. Right. So then Bhagavad Pada gives one more Upamana. Just because the Vishaya, I mean, we say if something is very complex, it is Brahma Vidya Kala. Probably this is actually Brahma Vidya. But the thing is, the general topic you all know. So we can just marvel at the beauty in the way that the text is constructed, right? So then Bhagavad Pada is giving one more example of how the less there is in the mind, the easier it is to see the truth. Okay? This is the Vivakshata Amsha. The less there is in the mind, the easier it is to see things as they are. So now, Bhagavad Pada takes is exactly this rain. So what is the natural taste of water? That is as per chemistry, but tasteless, waterless, but we say sweet, right? Madhuram Boni is what we say, right? Drinking water, mineral water, distillery water, Icelandic water, all of that is there, right? So that water will be sweet. So the nature of water is to be sweet. And that is because when we say water, we usually mean groundwater is what we usually mean. And that is enriched by minerals which lends the sweet taste to it. That is what it is. So, water is sweet. Its natural state is sweet. If you go to Tunga, usually maybe around August or September, right after the rains are heavy, you go and you don't even have to drink. If you do this, the water in your hands will be brown. Because the rains have obviously brought all of the sediment, all of the silt, all of that has been brought into the flow of the river. Right? So, keep this in mind now. Varsha swambhav prachayat kupe gurur nirjhare payah ksharam grishmenaiva tushushke madhuryam bhajati tatrambha. So, because all of these sediments and silt and dirt has come into the river, Varsha also. In the Varsha Kala, Ambhav Prachayat, because many waters have collected there, right? So many waters have come. They all flow down into the water table and they all collect in the river and they flow. So because all of that water has collected, Nirjhare, Kupe, whether it be in streams or in wells, Payah Ksharam, the water tastes acidic or it tastes bitter. Because all of that has come in. But Grishmenaiva, the second Grishma comes, what happens? The river dries up, some water evaporates, things go away. Right? Then what happens? Then Madhuryam Bhajati Tatrambha. Then you actually experience the sweetness of the water. So what happens? The more you have, the more bitter things become. The less you have, the more the sweetness is experienced. So that is the Upamana that Bhagavad Gita is given, right? In the rainy season or right after the rainy season, the water is bitter. Why? The more the water collects in one place, the more useless things come with that water, and therefore you have to experience the bitterness. The natural sweetness of the water is overpowered by the bitterness of the things that have come onto it. But in Grishma what happens? You have gotten rid of things. Things have been evaporated. It is gone. So now whatever is left is pure. It is pure. It is clear. So there you can now experience the true sweetness of the water. Such a nice upamana. So that is why this is another argument for Manonigraha. The more the mind flows, the more the mind seeks to encompass, the more the mind seeks to embrace, the more bitterness that it will end up having to taste. The more that it lets go of that, the more that, Grishma, the more that it evaporates all of those desires, the more sweetness it will experience. So that is why the next thing is Tattad Vishayodriktam Tamah Pradhanam Manah Kalusham. Just as the water muddied by the things in the rains is Kalusha, in the same way the Manas also Tattad Vishayodriktam, infused with the experiences of all these Vishayas, Manah Kalusham, the mind becomes dirtied. Then Tasmin Virada Shushke, if you dry it up with Vairagya, then Shanakaihi. This is also Shanakaihi means gradually, slowly. This is not Grishma also, right? It is not like the second summer comes the first day, June 1st, school has given holidays and the next day the water is clear. That is not the case. It takes time. The water has to evaporate over time. Even at home, what do we do if we don't know what the water is like? You boil it. You boil it and it has to come to a steady boil, a gradual boil, right? You don't just put you don't put it on high and then turn it off. It has to boil gradually. Shanadaihi avirbhavet sattvam. So the Vishayas are all made of tamas. But now once you boil the mind with vairagya, the Vishayas evaporate and you will be left with sattva. That's sattva guna. Then, some things we can just go through quickly. Yam Vishaya Abhilashatva Dhavati Bahyendriya Dwara. So the mind, it will want some Vishaya and it will run after that Indriya Dwara, through the Indriya. Chakshuradi Karana Dwara Bahispandate, same thing. Tasya Aprapto, let us say it does not achieve the object that it wants. Then what happens? Khidyati. It undergoes sorrow. What kind of a sorrow does it undergo? What is the nature of, because just as all anandas are not the same, right? There are different types of happinesses. When you are not expecting something and you get something, that is one type of happiness. You have lost something, you have searched for it and you found it. Then there is one happiness. You lost something, you gave up searching for it and you found it. That is a different type of happiness. Right? You wanted something, you worked hard for it and you get it. That is one happiness. You don't want anything, you are just with someone or something that you like. There is some happiness, that is one type of happiness, right? So there are different types of happinesses. In the same way, the flip side of all, there are different types of dukkhas also. Right? So what is this dukkha comparable to? You want something and you don't get it. What is that comparable to? Yatha swam gatam kinchit. As if you have lost something that belonged to you. The sorrow of not attaining something that you wanted is comparable to the sorrow of losing something that you have. So the point being that why bother indulging in either of these is the point. So if that is the case, you already have some things that you will lose anyway. So when you will already experience that dukkha, there is no need to experience that same dukkha in US. So for that reason, don't bother running after things, whether you get them or not, forget about that. Whatever you have, be happy with that. That is the manonigraha. So these kinds of things are told. Then, one thing happens then. Ihava purvame Ihava purva bhaveva svakarmanaivarjitam phalam yadyat shubham ashubham va taddat bhogo pyaprathito bhavati. So then you say, this is what I want to experience. So I cannot be without experiencing anything. And it is not possible for even the greatest of sadhakas to not experience anything. Because that is why you still have a body. As I said, as long as this body is there, you cannot escape experience. So then, when experience is inevitable, why should I not seek experience? See, you are saying that through experiencing things, I will get sukha and dukkha. Right? Sukha may lead to dukkha, dukkha may lead to sukha, this whole web is there. You are telling me to get rid of these two. But, you cannot get rid of these two. So then what is the point? If sukha and dukkha are inevitable, then why should I stop searching for them? Why should I stop seeking them? Right? That is the question. So there it is said that there is a difference between seeking it out and a difference between letting it come to you. That is the difference that we are pointing out here. So, Purva Bhave, through the course of all of your Purva Janmas, all your previous births, Swakarmanaiva Arjitam Yadyat Phalam, whatever karma it is that you have earned, that, Sanchita Karma, Shubham Ashubham Va, Tattat Bhogaha Bhavati, whether it be Shubha or Ashubha, basically Sukha or Dukkha, you will experience that regardless. How aprarthitaha, whether you seek it or not, whether you want it or not, whether you desire it or not, you will end up experiencing it anyway. So basically the point is, there is something you will have to experience anyway. There is no point seeking things out and adding to it. That is the point. Don't add to this existing balance. Right? When you are in debt, you say, I am in debt anyway, why not make more, why not take more loans? That is not the attitude that you have, right? See, already there is something that you have to experience. You will experience it regardless of what you do. So don't try to add on to the existing headache. Right? So then, Bhagavad gives one more nice yukti here, one more piece of logic. So then he says, okay, let us say that we say, forget all of this. I want sukha anyway. So you are telling me not to find sukha in Vishayas. And you are saying whatever sukha comes will come. But yet my nature is to want sukha. You cannot deny that. Okay, you cannot get rid of the human desire for sukha. It is not possible. From including Jiva Muktas and Mokshas and whatnot, they also have the same desire for sukha. Only difference is they know that they are sukha, we are looking for sukha elsewhere. The only difference is in what you consider sukha. But the desire for sukha is universal. There is no doubt there. The most, downfallen, destitute, sadistic people who, inflict harm on themselves and other people, they also seek happiness only. It is just the manner of that happiness that differs. But the desire for happiness is the same across the board. So when that is the case, then what should I do? See, sukha is through the process of trial and error. I have found that whether small or great, sukha is found in Vishayas. I know that whether I will feel bad later or not, if I experience something now, I will experience some sukha. Why should I lose that? If there is, see, you are saying that sukha leads to dukkha, but it is my nature to want sukha. What do you want me to do then? Should I just give up all sukha? I cannot do that. It is not possible. Then what is the case? The samadhana there is that I did not say give up sukha, I said give up vishaya sukha. That is the difference. So, chetaf pashum ashubha patham pradhavamanam nidakartum vairagyam ekam uchitam galakashtam nirmitam dhatra. This is also a really nice simile. So this manas is likened to a pashu because it is the mind that wants things. As I said, right, the wanting is not the job of the jiva. Wanting is the job of the manas. So the manas wants sukha. The problem is the path that this manas chooses is a path that will lead to more dukkha. That is why it has been called ashubha patham. A patha that leads to ashubha means dukkha. So this manas is like an animal. This animal, what do animals want? They want grass or something to eat. They will not think further than that. So it has seen something and it is running down a marga that is not good. So what does then the cowherd do? What does the gopala do? He will tie one thing around its neck. There will be a piece of wood that you tie around its neck. You can take it two ways. Some people say it is one thing that you tie like this so that it stays. You can also take it just like a post that it is tied to. Kalakashtam. Basically, a piece of wood that its neck is tied to. To help us to stop the pashu of our manas from running down the wrong path, Bhagavan has given us one such post that is called Vairagya. You tie your manas to that and it will not go down the wrong path. That is what Bhagavad Pada is saying. And then Bhagavad Pada tells us that, see, it is not that sukha is denied to you entirely. It is that we are just telling you to reconsider where you are searching for it. Because you are saying that you are only finding sukha in Vishayas. I will now disprove that statement. Nidravasare yat sukham etat kim vishayajam yasmat nahi chendriya pradesha avasthanam chetaso nidra. So when you go into Sushupti, as you all know, the Sthula Sharira and Sukshma Sharira, the Sthula Sharira and the Indriyas and all do not exist in that point of time. Right? There is no sanyoga between the Manas and the Indriyas. The Manas has nothing to do with the sense organs then, and the question of there being an object, a sense object is long gone. Right? There is no question of interacting with the sense objects. There is also no Indriya for the Manas to interact with. In that state, there is no object, there is no Indriya. Then how are you experiencing happiness? So, hence proved that you do not need objects to be happy. This is the point that we are making. So, nidravasare yat sukham. When you sleep, whatever sukha there is, etad vishayajatam kim? Is this born out of vishayas? Yes, therefore, nahi chetasaha indriya pradesha avasthanam nidra. Sleep is not a state in which the mind is united with the indriyas. So there is no point in saying that is the only way that we can be happy. So I think then let's see how much we have left. because there is not much time, so we can. You all don't make right? I was not. Then one more nice upamana is given. Some people who go tiger hunting know this. The old days, right? The British used to go for shikar. That is the word where now we change the word shikar means. But in the olden days, shikar meant hunting, right? Tiger hunting. So those people will know the next one. So now the manas needs to be restrained. How do you restrain the mind? Advara tunga pudye grihe avaruddho yatha vyagraha बहु निर्गम प्रयत्ने श्रांतस तिष्ठति पतन श्वशंश्च तथा. How do you trap a tiger? This is the question. You need a house that does not have doors and high walls. Okay. So by some means or the other, a tiger has become trapped in such a house. The walls are too high for it to jump over. Tigers can jump very high, so it will be very high walls. And advaram, there are also no doors that it can batter its way out of. So locked in such an enclosure, what will a tiger do? Bahu nirgama prayatnehi, it will jump until it gets tired. It will smash against the walls until it gets tired. And then what will it do? It will sit in one place, shrantaha, becoming tired, patan, having fallen down, shvasan, sighing, breathing heavily, shrantas tishtati, it will become motionless. It will give up trying to get out and will just fall there having become tired and stay there. Because all its means of exit have been blocked. In the same way, tatha sarvendriyavarodhat, lock up all your indriyas. Okay, lock up your indriyas. Sarvendriyavarodhat udyoga shataihi. The mind will try 100 different ways to escape the enclosure of the mind and escape through the indriyas. It will try 100 different ways. But anirgamam vikshya, if it sees that it cannot escape the enclosure of the mind, then shantam tishtati chetaha, then it will calm down, it will cool down, and nirudhyamatvam tadayati, it will seek trying to escape. That is how, not just tigers actually, this is how they used to tie elephants also. So they will capture the elephant, the cub, the calf, when it is very young, and they will tie it with iron, and it will get used to not being able to escape, to the point that once it grows some 3 meters tall and weighs 5 tons, if you tie it with grass, it will not try to escape, because it is so used to being bound. It will give up trying to escape, right? Same thing has to be done with the mind. Just as the tiger, it will try to escape, what will it do once its energy is gone? And what will it do once its will to escape has been broken? That is really what it is. You have to break its will, right? The same thing has to be done with the manas. You have to break the will of the manas. What is the will of the manas? To go out, to be bahirmukha, to experience things outside. You have to break that will. This is the hard part, because for the tiger, something else is breaking its will. For the manas, who is going to break the will of the manas? It has to break itself. And it is the only reason why this is hard. Otherwise, this is what you have to, the manas needs to feel that it is useless to even try to go out. That is how much of a grip you should have on it. Now people will ask, this is the common question, right? How do I control my mind? There is no way to control the mind besides desiring to control the mind. That is, at the end of the day, that is actually what it is. Right? You have to, that is why I started with that. You have to want something more than what you have right now. So unless you understand what conquering the mind implies, and unless you want that much more than what you have right now, you will not have a will strong enough to conquer your own mind. It is that simple. The reason why we are told to do Shravana over and over again, and the reason why that Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi Dukkha Doshana Darshanam, the reason why, despite having such a beautiful world around us, the reason why we are told to, this is ephemeral, this is fleeting, this has dukkha, the reason why this is completely pounded into our head again and again, is that with the hope that someday we will realize that that state is more valuable than this state. When the day that you realize that day you don't need help conquering your mind. you will do it on your own. Just as a student that wants to get a good seat somewhere, no one has to tell him to wake up in the morning. No one has to tell him to study. A student that does not see the value in that, you will have to push him, wake him up, drag him off the bed and all of that. But if he sees the value of whatever it is, he will forego his own sukha. He will forego the comfort of sleep, he will forego the comfort of whatever else it is, of luxuries and all, and he will study. If he understands the value of the end goal, you don't need anyone else to push him. It is that simple. You need the mind to understand that the nishkama sthiti is much better than the sakama sthiti. That is all it is. If you, the closer you come to understanding that, the more control you will have over your mind. That is another place where bhakti is really useful. Because bhakti will give you something to love. Bhakti will give you something to put your mind on. Bhakti will give you something to love more than you love anything else. Whether you understand Krishna or not, you will love Krishna more than anything else. Then you can transfer that love from the Saguna form of Krishna into the Nirguna Tattva of Krishna. That is all later. But this entire bhakti concept is meant to help you get something to love more than what you have right now. Because see, there is one more thing. We have never denied the experience of the world. Right? There is no one telling you that you must be miserable right now. That is, there is no system of philosophy that will ever be successful if it says be miserable now. Right? The point of philosophy is to make you happy. This is the science of how to be happy. So, we discuss, pull the manas back. So, don't desire vishayas. We say all of this. But in the state that we are in the state of a sannyasi, then you really have to completely shun all of this. Or the reverse is also true. When you come to the state of completely shunning all of this is when you are a true sannyasi. But for the sake of the sadhaka in the 21st century, but who still wants to lead a spiritual life, at no point does our Shastra deny you the world. It is just that experience what is in front of you without being attached to it. It is the attachment that we are told to cut, not the experience. Right? See, that is the reason why Bhagavad Pada earlier said, aprarthitaha bhogo bhavati. You will experience sukha and dukkha regardless of whether you want it or not. So experience what you have in front of you, do not become attached to it. What will happen to us? Some experience will come to us due to our karma. Our problem is we want that again. Okay? We will go to someone's house for lunch. They will give us something nice to eat. Eat it, leave it there. Do not ask them for the recipe. Come home, tell your wife right at the day, it was nice, no, please make this. This you should not do. Something was put in your plate. Whatever comes into your plate, enjoy what is in your plate. Do not seek to control what is in your plate. Whatever is there, eat it, treat it as Bhagavan's prasada. If you like something, enjoy it. If you don't like something, forget about it. When you are done with the meal, you should not even remember what you had. This is the state of the sadhaka, in which you are not denied the world, but you are also not grabbing onto the world. That is that, if you see everywhere Bhagavad Pada says, chayataha dhavati, chayataha patati. Right? The mind runs, the mind falls. The mind should not run or fall. The mind should be exactly where you want it to be. Whatever comes to the mind will come, whatever goes from the mind will go. There is nothing wrong in experiencing what you have in front of you. Having raga on that is wrong. See, in all of these places, Bhagavad Pada, if you notice, that is one more nice thing. Bhagavad Pada has never done ninda of the Vishaya. Bhagavad Pada has done ninda of attachment to the Vishaya. Bhagavad Pada has done ninda of running towards the Vishaya. Bhagavad Pada has done ninda of desiring the Vishaya. Nowhere is the Vishaya itself, the subject of disdain. It will be disdained towards the mind. That is what it is. Do not indulge its desire. Do not indulge the mind in its desires. That is what it is.
It's beyond our control.
Yeah, see, there are some indriyas that you cannot do anything about. What can you do with the ears? If you cover it, you will still hear some things. Unless you have noise cancelling headphones. Even if you put your hands over your ears, you will still hear some things. So it is not, that is why I said, it is not the Vishaya that needs to be conquered. It is the desire for the Vishaya that needs to be conquered. That will happen only when you see that this is nothing worth running for. If it comes, it will be there. If it is not there, it is not there. There is no reason for me to seek it. That is what we are talking about. Do not stop seeking it. Stop seeking it. Stop seeking it. That is what Bhagavad Pada is saying here. So when you have locked up all those dwaras of the mind having nothing else will seek sukha in something. Right? See, the mind will not give up seeking happiness because as I said, that is its nature. So if it is not allowed to go outside, it will go inside. Right? So that is where all of these games come from. All the games that you have at home. These games come from rainy days. When the children cannot go out to play, you will need something to play at home with whatever is there at home. That is how all these games, 7 stones, throwing and catching these stones, mankala, all of chess, all of these games come because there is nothing to play outside, so you have to play inside. In the same way, the mind, if you don't let the mind play outside, the mind will have to play inside. So then what happens? So now actually Bhagavad Pada is now giving us a list of all of the things you can do to get the mind used to that. How do you? So now the mind will never sit without doing anything, and you are saying that the mind has to be controlled. So what should we indulge the mind in? In the meantime, pranaspanda nirodhat, satsangat, vasana tyagat, haricharana bhakti yogat, manaha svavegam jahati shanaihi. Beautiful shloka. Okay, first thing, pranaspanda nirodhat. Pranayama, chale vate chale chittam, nischale nischalam bhavet, is what Yoga Shastra is telling us. The more unruly your breath is, the more unruly your mind is. And vice versa. The more still that your breath is, the more still that your mind is. So, it is because that this relationship goes one way that it also goes the other way. What are the characteristics of anger? You draw deep breaths. Whenever you are agitated, you draw deep breaths. Whenever you cry, you sob. That takes a lot of breath. Whenever you do anything that is intense, it takes breath. So you limit the breath, you limit the intensity of what you feel. So that pranayama is very important. So the sadhaka will feel that. Once the abhyasa of pranayama happens for a while, it will become the pratyaksha anubhava that state of mind you get after pranayama will be very different from the state of mind before pranayama. If you do it properly. You should not do pranayama thinking of something. There is a proper... See, that is why all of this has to be done from the Guru Mukha. It is the Guru that will tell you all of this. So the Guru will tell you exactly how you should do it, what kind of a mindset you should have, timings and all of that, because there is a way to do it. This is a science that has been perfected over centuries. So pranayama is not, you sit down one day and you just grab your nose and you sit there for some time and you say, I am done for the day. There is a proper way of, it is an abhyasa, right? You have to do it. It is an exercise. Just as if you want to build a body, you have to go to the gym. There is a regimen, there is a diet, there is a set of exercises that you have to do. Over time you will see results. Just as that is there, the same thing goes for the mind also. It is an exercise. You are training your mind. It requires what Patanjali Maharshi says, Satu Dirghakala Nairantarya Satkara Vasevito Dridhabhumihi. This yoga requires 3 things to become Dridha. Dirghakala, it will not happen in 1 or 2 days. It needs to span a long period of time. You cannot just say, I have been doing yoga for 1 week and I am almost get off Nirvikalpa Samadhi. That will not happen. Dirghakala Nairantarya. Dirghakala means I have studied yoga for 10 years. Really? Yes. First class was in 2010, second class was in 2020. 10 years I have been studying yoga. That will not happen. Nairantarya, it needs to be Nirantara. It needs to be relentless and continuous. Second thing, my mother has been waking me up the last 10 years to go to yoga class, but I hate it. That will not do. Satkara, you need to have that shraddha on what you are doing. You need to have that respect for what you are doing. Then, Dridhabhumihi, it will become from. This is when you need that bheka to eat all of this. The snake that was eating the frog, right? The mosquitoes that the frog was eating, it left all of these for me. Huh?
It left its vishayas.
This is why you should not teach dogs Vedanta. They will leave all the mosquitoes. Okay, so that is why pranayama is necessary. Then, pranaspanda nirodhat satsangat. You should put yourself in an environment that is conducive to these thoughts. If you have friends that every 2 days say, let's go to the movie, let's go to a movie, let's go to a movie, why will your mind go anywhere other than a movie? If you have friends, let's go out to eat today, let's go to a hotel to eat today, let's go here to eat today. Obviously, your mind will seek that only. So, satsangat means put yourself in the company of people who are also of the same mindset, or even better, who already have this mindset. Even better. Right? So, pranaspanda nirodhat satsangat, then vasanat tyagat. This is much harder. You have to let go of your vasanas. So these vasanas are basically the seeds of your raga dveshas. Whatever it is that causes you to like or dislike something, that is what you have to let go of. There is
Vasanas come in the form of karmas also.
Vasanas are the tendencies of the mind. They are inculcated due to karma. They strengthen due to karma. So, there is a shloka in Yoga Vasishta. It is there also in the Vyasa Bhashya of the Yoga Sutras. Shubha Shubhabhyam Margabhyam Vahanti Vasana Sarita. Shubha Shubhabhyam Margabhyam Vahanti Vasana Sarita. Paurushena Prayatnena Yojaniya Shubhe Pathi. That is the shloka. So, this Vasana Sarit, this stream of vasanas, it is like a river and it flows in 2 directions at once. Shubha Shubhabhyam Margabhyam. So the mind has Shubha Vasanas and Ashubha Vasanas. Okay. There is no mind that has only Shubha Vasanas or only Ashubha Vasanas. That will never be the case. It will never be the case because this body is bought through a mixture of karma. If the body is bought through only punya, that time you can keep it. What is that? So, if the body is bought through only punya, that is how you get a deva sharira, gandharva sharira, etc. The body is bought through only papa, you will get some other tiriyak sharira, something like that. It is only when you have punya and papa. Ubhabhyam punya papabhyam, Shastra says. It's only if you have a body that is born of punya and papa that you get the human body. So there is no body that is bereft of either. You will without fail have both. So it is your job to decide which way you want the vasanas to flow. Paurushena prayatnena. With human effort, yojaniya shubhepati. You have to divert the course of that river to only flow towards shubha vasanas. And then actually in that Yoga Vasishta, he says, Lalayet Chittabalakam, Samata Santvanena Asho, Nadragiti Shane Shanehi. This is the next shloka. Nadragiti Shane Shanehi, again, Paurushena Prayatnena, Lalayet Chittabalakam. Samata Santvanena Asho, Nadragiti Shane Shanehi. Paurushena prayatnena lalaye chitta balakam. Like a child, like a toddler is throwing a tantrum. How do you make him calm down? That is how you have to make your mind calm down. So, samata santvanena. What is the first thing you tell that child? Don't cry. This is not a big deal. Right? This is not important. See, we will do something else. You will tell all of us. That santvana. That cajoling is done. What cajoling should be done to the mind? The Granthakara says, Samata Santvanena. Through the Santvana of Samata. And there the Vyakyakara writes, Samata basically means that Samadrishti, that all of this is Paramatma. Whatever you want is Paramatma. What you don't want also is Paramatma. What you like is Paramatma. What you don't like is also Paramatma. So now what will you like and not like? That is the Santvana. So imagine the Manas is a child. This is what you have to feed the child slowly. Whatever you like, whatever you don't like, everything is the same. Whether you like something you don't like, it is all the same. This is the cajoling that has to be done to the chitta balaka. Samata nadragiti. Don't hurry about anything. Shanai shanaihi. Slowly Chitta balakam lalayet. You need to cajole and coax the child of the mind into calming down. So that is the vasana tyaga. You have to slowly make the mind understand that whatever it harbors raga and dvesha to are not things worth even harboring raga and dvesha. They are not worth your time. That is basically how you have to train the mind. And then the best weapon you have to do all of this is Haricharana Bhakti Yoga, Bhagavad Bhakti. This will allow you to do the first three things as much as possible. The more bhakti you have towards Bhagavan, the more you can do in Vedanta. The more bhakti you have, the more you can achieve. This is an equation. And nowhere does Advaita contradict this. As I said, Bhagavad Bhakti will help you get your mind away from the world, and once it is on Bhagavan, a true Bhakta will seek to know who Bhagavan is. If you don't want to know who Bhagavan is, you are not a true Bhakta. It is like saying, I love my child but I don't care about understanding him. However much weight that statement has, I love Bhagavan but I don't seek to know him has the same amount of weight. It means, if that is the case, what you actually mean is, I like what I can get from Bhagavan. That is what that. If you say, I love Bhagavan but I don't care about knowing him. I have bhakti towards Ishvara but I don't seek to know him. What that statement actually means is, I like what I get from Ishvara. I don't actually like Ishvara, is what that means. It means that I like what my child will do for me. I don't actually love my child. Or I like what my parent does for me. I don't actually love my parent. If you actually love your child or your parent or your spouse or your friend, you will seek to understand them through and through. The same thing goes for Bhagavan. If you really want to love Bhagavan, you have to seek to know him. Which is why Bhagavan says, out of the four bhaktas, Artha Jignasa Arthati Jnani Bharata Rishabha, Tesham Jnani Niti Yukta Eka Bhaktir Vishishyate, Priyo Hijnana Tirtha Mahansachana Priya, Udara Sarvete, Jnani Tvatmaiva Mevatam. There is a reason why the Jnani is put on a separate pedestal, is because he has the capacity to love Bhagavan more than anyone else. The Dvaitin is not capable of loving Bhagavan as much as the Advaitin can love Bhagavan. It is not possible. The Advaitin loves Bhagavan more than anybody else can. Because he is the only one that can seek to know Bhagavan through and through. If you are only doing Sharanagati to Bhagavan, you are done. You have gotten the Sharana that you want from Bhagavan. What else do you need from Bhagavan? You have given up your responsibilities to him, which means that he is taking care of you. So now what need do you have to actually understand Bhagavan? There is no need. So as long as the relationship with Bhagavan is one of being separate from Bhagavan, there is no need to know him. You do not, right? The second you have duality in a relationship, you do not need to know anything. Knowing only comes when there is a unity that is needed. Right? It is only when you want to act in unison that you need to understand someone. If otherwise, it is what we call a professional relationship. Right? You go to work, do you need to understand your colleagues? You do your work, whatever you need from him, you get, send me this file, you will send you that file, send me this report, you will send him that report, you are done. If that is the case, then that is not the highest form of a relationship that you can have. So the second that there is a relationship, the second that relationship is fulfilled, there is no more need for that relationship, or there is no more need to put extra effort into that relationship. It is only in Advaita that there is no dualistic relationship. So it is only when you know Bhagavan through and through that you have completely loved him as much as you can. Advaita Bhakti has to go this far. This is not the kind of Bhakti that we can have in a day-to-day basis. That is why you have to have Vaita Bhakti. You have to start there. You have to say that, Tameva Mata Japita Tameva, Tameva Bandhasya Sakhat Tameva, Tameva Vidya Dravidan Tameva, Tameva Sarvam. The reason this shloka is so popular is because without this, that bhavana will not come. Unless you at least have that closeness with Bhagavan, you will not seek to take the next step. This is one reason. The second reason is, as you do this sadhana, right, there are some things that you can control. There are some things that you cannot control. The things that you cannot control are, you can control your actions. Can you control the situations that you are put into? Can you control the people that you come in contact with? Whether it be the right people or the wrong people? Can you guarantee that you will come into contact with the right people at the right time? Can you also guarantee that you will not meet the wrong people at the wrong time? So there are so many things that have a factor on the path that we can take that are outside of our hands. Whose hands are those in? Or why do these factors come into play? Our karma. Who is arranging our karma for us? Paramatma. So if His grace is there, the path will be arranged in such a way that it is conducive to this. Which is why people will say, I have not found a proper guru yet. My life is too messy for me to even think about this right now. There is a reason why in those situations we say do Ishvara Aradhana. It is not that Ishvara will snap his fingers and all of your troubles will magically disappear. Right? Because that is not possible. Whatever you have done, this will come. Whatever you have done, you have to experience. There is no force in heaven and hell that will get you out of that. What can be done is, it can be arranged to make the path of least resistance. That is what it is called in electrical engineering. The path of least resistance is the path that any current will take. So you have to design the circuit in that way. Right? So what you can ask Ishvara to do is, give me a path that is at least conducive. I will experience whatever I have to. But at least make it so that it is conducive to me also doing whatever it is that I can. Do not make it in such a way that I cannot even do the bare minimum. So that is what you need Ishvara Nugraha for. Whatever is out of your hand, finding the right guru, first of all, we don't even have control of the body and mind that we are given. We did not even choose this. So you need a mind that is capable of understanding this. You need a body that is healthy enough to sit and do all of this. That is also not in your control. So to take care of all of the intangibles, you have to have Bhagavan's grace. There is no other way around it. So for these two reasons in that, the end goal, the thing that you have to seek to know in the end is Bhagavan. So you need to seek Bhagavan. And also whatever is out of your hands is in the hands of Bhagavan. For these two reasons mainly, you must have Bhagavad Bhakti. Ishvara Aradhana is not optional for Advaita. Ishvara Aradhana is mandatory. There is no second way about it. So that is why Haricharana Bhakti Yoga, with the help of that Bhagavad Bhakti, here not just Hari, Hara, Devi, Ganesha, you put in whatever name you want. With that Bhagavad Bhakti, having done that Pranayama, Satsangatya, getting rid of the vasanas, doing all of these mental exercises and all, then Shanaihi, gradually, slowly, over due course of time, Manaha, what will the mind get rid of? Svegam Jahati. There is a Vega that the mind has. Vega, in Sanskrita, it is not just speed. Vega is actually Samskara. In Tarka Sangraha, you will get right. Bhavana, Vega, Sthitistapaka. That is Samskara is threefold. So that Vega is when something flows. Okay, why does it keep flowing?
Inertia.
That inertia is there, right? Not the static inertia, but the inertia that an object in motion will stay in motion. That Vega, the tendency of the mind to give a knee-jerk reaction, that immediate spandana, that is called Vega. That is what the mind will get rid of. Honestly, if the mind gets rid of that, the battle is won. Half the battle is already won.
Reaction.
If the mind stops reacting to things, you have done half of the job. That is why Bhagavan says, Kama Krodhodbhavam Vegam, Bhagavan says. He who can resist that Vega of Kama and Krodha, when you desire something, that knee-jerk reaction, when that anger, the anger flares up in you, that knee-jerk reaction, whoever it is that can restrain that, you can hold your mind back for those few seconds, Sayukta, Sasukhinara, he will find happiness because he is not reacting to the world. So that Vega is what is being left. So that is done. Then quickly there are like 2 shlokas that we can finish with. Then Bhagavad Gita basically says, therefore inculcate Vairagya.